Hello. So I am going to be making videos, hopefully often, on politics in Trinidad and Tobago or on anything related to Tobago. Who am I? I am a Trinidadian, I suppose, Trinbagonian who left home a long time ago. I've lived all around and I'm looking to return to Tobago. So, um, I want to reach out to people in the diaspora, anybody who, for example, maybe your parents were Trinidadian or anyone who feels close to the Caribbean and is thinking about moving back to a Caribbean island and is thinking about Tobago. You are who I want to meet because basically, because I've been away for so long. Sorry about my pimple. Because I've been away for so long, I am going to be um, moving back without friends, without connections, without a community. And a big part of why I want to move back is for the feeling of community, because to me, as I grew up there, I had such a strong feeling of community, and it's something that I think is really important to one's mental health and well being. So I want to make sure to have a community, and so I'm looking for people from the diaspora to talk to who are going to be moving to Tobago so that I can be a part of whatever community is formed there. Now, in this video, I would like to talk about immigration in Trinidad and Tobago and why I think one of the most important things that the government could do right now is focus on immigration, reforming the immigration system, and basically trying to fix immigration and taking it seriously in the same way in which we take tourism seriously or oil and gas or whatever. We need to start to look at people as a resource and immigration as just as important as tourism or oil and gas or whatever other industries, so that we can attract the right people to Trinidad and Tobago so that the economy will go well. I think it's really important to reform immigration and to make sure that the people who you're attracting are contributing to the economy in a productive and good way. So basically, I see a lot where people say things like, oh, Dubai or Abu Dhabi, these places also have had just like $1 million and I mean a million people, okay, and they had loads and loads of oil, so much more than we did. And they transformed the economy, became so whatever, whatever. So I lived in the UAE, I lived in, close to Dubai or whatever. And I would like to say one of the most interesting things that they have as opposed to other countries is a unique um, immigration policy. If you look at the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, these places, they have the majority of their population is foreign born. Their locals live very well. They all have maids, drivers, whatever. The majority of their population are foreign people. They are not locals. They allow people to come from basically, well, not anywhere because they have lots of countries that are blocked, but that they have a system where they block countries based on how the people behave. But that's another story. Basically, they allow people to come from anywhere. They allow anyone to come. And that is because there's a sponsorship program where someone who has enough money can sponsor someone else as long as you can take care of the person. If you are, let's say you're a Trinidadian national and you need somebody from Cuba or from somebody from Venezuela or somebody from Sudan or whatever to come and help you to work in your house or to build, if you have a company, to build your business, you can do that. You can send a plane ticket for somebody from Sudan to come and work and help build your house. And if that is not working out for you, then you can also ask the person to leave. Now, this may sound a little bit like slavery or whatever, because you're going to be paying that person from Sudan or Venezuela or wherever much less than you would pay a normal Trinidadian, because they earn less in their country and the standards are different. So it may sound abusive, exploitation, like, or whatever. And I agree that the UAE there's certain aspects of how they run things that makes it even more abusive, in that people don't have like proper legal representation and stuff. And we don't need to adopt all that, but we do need to adopt the parts of it where immigration is taken seriously, where there is emphasis placed on, is this person contributing to the country? As long as they are allowed to stay regardless of whatever else, as long as someone can sponsor them and say, hey, this person is useful within my business, within my home, within the context of building the country, which is obviously what anybody who is a local would want to do, because they want to build themselves. So to build their business, to build their house, to build whatever they want, this person is useful. I vouch for this person. They can stay. This is a very, very smart and good capitalistic free market immigration policy. And I think that we need to adopt that in Trinidad. We need to have some sort of system where, with all this madness and Venezuelans, where the businesses who find Venezuelans to be useful can say, hey, I vouch for this person, I hired this person, they are working out for me, they can stay because they're contributing to the economy. Furthermore, you also need to look on the higher level in terms of education level. How can we attract people who have certain skills, expertise, and across the board skills? I mean, there are different skills. Whatever skills are needed, we have to look at how we can attract those people. And a big part of that to attract people would be reducing crime, essentially, and just making the country stable and so on. But I really think that within, if you look at demographics and thing, within every single country is facing problems in terms of declining birth rates. I mean, not every single country, okay, but very many countries, first world countries, and they are going to be, a country like Trinidad and Tobago suffers from brain drain, skills drain. We suffer from uh, people leaving the country who could have been productive members of society, and those who are left behind are not always the most productive members of society. Okay, that sounds really bad because no, it's not like that. But very many people leave the country who could have been productive, and so there will be grabs for. What I want to say is that in all countries, it's not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but in all countries, we are entering a phase and a time where we need to find a system to find the right people. And if that is not prioritized, what you end up with is a random set of people. You will get immigration regardless. You will not be able to control your immigration because you won't have the systems in place to control your immigration, because you don't have the people to put those systems in place cleverly and so on. And all of this just ends in chaos and it kills a society. Furthermore, Trinidad and Tobago is suffering from the fact that it's a multicultural society and people don't care enough about Trinidad, rather, they care about India and Africa and whatever they are. And now it will be, let's say, Spanish speaking or whatever. They care about their own nationality, or, I mean, their own group or whatever. And this divides the country in such a way that nobody is really putting Trinidad first. Nobody is putting Trinidad and Tobago first, not enough people at least. And this causes, it sets us back so far. If we would just drop all this race nonsense and just put our country first, regardless of Indian, black, or whatever, it would help. But I just want to say that it's really important to prioritize immigration. Now, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. For example, I'm married to someone who's not from Trinidad and Tobago. We tried to go through immigration. It was extremely difficult, impossible, couldn't do it. Um, we have lived all over the world in all sorts of different countries, never had as much hell as, I mean, it's harder for me to get my husband into Trinidad and Tobago than it is for us to get into a place like Saudi Arabia, which is, or even, Korea and so on and stuff like this. So, um, the immigration system in Trinidad needs to be repaired, and it needs to be geared towards allowing people who can contribute to society in to the country. And if this is not fixed, you will end up with a lot of people who do not contribute effectively to society. And I don't mean to say that only educated people can contribute. I don't think that's true at all. I think people with very little to no education, Haitians, look, we're in the Caribbean, we have an entire country full of people in Haiti who live way below normal poverty lines. These people are all willing to work and can contribute and cannot commit crime if given enough tools and resources to contribute effectively. Let them come, let them contribute, let them build your country. Let people who have less come and build the country. They will build it, and they will build it well if they are invited to come, if they are allowed to come, if there's some sort of legal pathway for them to come, to leave, feed their children, go back, and so on. And I'm sure that countries like Haiti would be willing to work with countries like Trinidad. I'm sure that many Venezuelans who come and contribute would be willing to work with Trinidad if they were treated well, and not to say they're not, but if they was a legal pathway for those who are contributing. I'm not saying to let everybody in. I'm not saying to let every single person in, and I'm saying create a pathway, create a system to allow people who want to and can contribute to the country to contribute, because capitalism is capitalism. We live in a certain world. We live in a capitalist world. And whether you like it or not, whether you want to talk about human rights or not, the fact is that wealth is built on the backs of the poor. Wealth is built on the backs of those who have less and who are willing to work hard. So you need to make friends. Look at the richest countries in the world. Look at these Middle Eastern countries. Yes, they had a lot of oil and that's how they were successful, but also they tied themselves to the poor. They took labor from the literal poorest countries in the world. They took labor from countries that were in war, where they took labor from people in war zones and allowed people in war zones to come to their country and work. And those people worked and built their country. Okay? I understand most immigrants in the Middle East come from India as well. But outside of coming from India, many also come from African countries, and they did take from Ethiopia, Eritrea, and so on in times when they were going through problems. So also Pakistan and so on and so on. They do tend to capitalize on countries where there's a lot of poverty or problems, and they use those problems to their advantage. And that might sound cruel and mean or whatever, but this is the real world. If you want to succeed, you're going to sometimes have to use people's disadvantage to your advantage. And so I would like to call on Trinidad and Trinidadians to please ask the government to create a logical framework for immigration that allows people into the country who can help. Allow Haitians, allow Venezuelans if it's Venezuelans, allow whoever is willing to come under the condition that they contribute. And if they don't contribute, okay, don't sponsor them, but create some kind of sponsorship system so that Trinidadians can decide, is this person useful to my business? Is this person useful to my household? Is this person helping me to build a home? Is this person helping me in a logical way? And let the people come, let them build, let them keep their identity, let them go home when they want to go home, let them live their lives independently but contribute to the country.